Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we are talking about Juror number 2. This film is directed by Clint Eastwood, possibly the last film directed by Clint Eastwood. I hope it's not, but he's in his mid-90s, so you try to want to watch every film he makes with that thought that this could be it. It stars Nicholas Hoult, Toni, Collette, J.K. Simmons, and a plethora of other cast members. And it has a very interesting and unique premise. For those unfamiliar, it's basically about someone who's called to jury duty, played by Nicholas Hoult, who realizes through the trial that he may have actually been the person that committed this crime. And the struggle he goes with on should he bring this up or should he try to continue with the trial and see where it goes from there. And something I do want to bring up before I get into the actual review is Warner Brothers is kind of burying this movie. They're not reporting any theatrical grosses. I was lucky enough to see it in a theater. They are only showing it in about 50 to 100 theaters, and then they're going to put it on Max around Christmas time, and they're now labeling it as a Max original. I hate that they're doing that to Clint Eastwood and what could be his final film. That just seems ridiculous to me. And it'd be one thing if I watched the movie and I was like, oh, this movie's kind of garbage. Like, of course they tried to bury it. The movie's good. I enjoyed this movie. Is it like the best movie you've ever seen? No, but it doesn't need to be. Hell, if this movie came out in 2007, it would have made like $100 million worldwide. But just viewing habits change, and that doesn't always happen anymore. But the movie is quite good. It's a very good thriller movie directed by Clint Eastwood. And I've always enjoyed Clint Eastwood's work as a director. I love Unforgiven. I love $1 Million Baby and Gran Torino as well. And you do kind of get some of that style here with Clint Eastwood and his direction. And you also get a little bit of new stuff, kind of like when he made Sully, how that felt a little bit different than what he had done before. And this movie kind of has elements of that to it as well. I think the performances are excellent. I think Nicholas Hoult kills it. He always does. He's an exceptional actor. Toni, Collette, and J.K. Simmons also do well. But a performance I really want to point out is, I'm going to pronounce the name wrong and I apologize, Cedric Yarbrough, who's normally a comedic actor. I believe he is on Reno 911 is the thing that he's known for. And he gives an exceptional performance in this movie. He's very much the foil to Nicholas Hoult's character and the one that's always pushing back, always making him question things. The movie also has a lot of 12 Angry Men vibes, which is very interesting. And I think the best thing that I enjoyed about the movie is the journey that the Nicholas Hoult character takes and the struggle in his brain on what's the right thing to do. And I'm not going to spoil like any major details, but I am going to kind of give away the thoughts that this character has throughout the film. I think that when he realizes that he may have been the one to commit this crime, he's like, oh no. First he has the moment of, oh my God, did I commit this horrible crime? And I didn't know it. I wasn't aware of it. And so you buy the performance there. And then when he makes the decision to kick off the movie that he's not going to come forward, he then tries to make sure that the person gets let off because he knows he didn't do it because I did it. And while I don't have the morality to turn myself in, because for reasons I won't get into, you'll see why in the movie, I also don't want to send an innocent person to jail. So he's working like multiple angles as to how he's going to figure this out while also trying to keep his composure and not give himself away. And it's a really interesting movie in the way it plays out. And J.K. Simmons' character comes in, you find out he's a former cop. And it adds drama to the situation, and there's a lot of puppet stringing going. There's a lot of just trying to not give yourself away, hiding your tracks. It's a thriller, and it works in that regard. I think the only negatives I can give the movie is I think the cinematography is a little bit bland. It was kind of shot for like a standardized 2006 kind of movie, and I do think it could have looked better. I think that the movie kind of goes through some emotional beats too quickly that I think could have been sat in and explored more in depth. I also think that Zoey Deutch's performance is a bit wasted. She does great in the few scenes that she's in. One scene in particular where you get such a great kind of confrontation out of her that you're like, I want more of this in the movie, and she's really kind of put to the sideline. So that's kind of another negative that I wanted to point out. I also think that the movie kind of has a couple of just matter-of-fact circumstances that are needed to push the movie forward, but you're kind of like, okay, that probably could have been handled a little bit better. And there's also an element to the ending where there's an editing choice made, an audio editing choice, to kind of nudge the audience of, just in case you didn't think this character would figure something out. And it's like, if you've been watching the movie, you didn't need that. It just felt kind of unnecessary. I've seen some people complain about the ending of the film, the last shot. I like endings like that. It's not really ambiguous, but it's just like a, you know what's going to happen next. It's one of those. I enjoyed it. I like when movies end like that, so that didn't bother me that much. But guys, this is a perfectly good thriller film that Clint Eastwood directed, and you're not going to get many of those left. I highly recommend watching it, and it's a shame that Warner Brothers is burying the movie. And, you know, I find myself watching it again. I almost feel like it's the perfect kind of dad movie, if that makes sense, or kind of movie for, you know, the older generation, like Gen X, maybe even some boomers. You know, the person that kind of got me into my love of films was my mamaw. And if she were still here, she would have loved this movie. You know, a movie that she loved was Fracture with Ryan Gosling. This kind of has a similar thriller vibe to it. And, you know, I wish that more people who would be around her age, if she were still here, would have the opportunity to go into a theater and watch this. But they're not going to barely have any time. There's barely any options. They're going to have to wait for streaming, which I've talked about before on the channel, how that is the age group of the audience. It's not really going out to theaters anymore. But if you're not giving them a chance, then they're never going to come back. It just pisses me off. But anyway, guys, I like this movie. I'd love to see what you guys thought of the movie down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next review.